I am Judy Ann Catalan and I am the reporter 2 of Group 7. So, okay, there's another chart in here you need to study. Discussion question can affirm not avoid losses by shutting down and not producing at all. Well, here's an excellent question. Sometimes, it's cheaper to produce than to shut down if the price is below the minimum average variable cost. The firm should shut down if the price is above the average variable cost. Then the firm stays in business. You might not be making money, but at least if the price is above the average variable cost, everything that you make will be contributing. You're just not confirming up volume to break even or being in a positive profit. So let's just look at this picture. So we're looking at these graphs, average cost, marginal cost, and we have average variable cost. So the average cost of the average total cost, it's got the fixed cost in there. The average variable cost is the margin. It is, it's like our variable cost, like we didn't know at first, and not the margin. So the price is below the average variable cost, and here's my average variable cost. My price is below there, or my price is above the average variable cost, so it means I'm having a positive margin in here. Let's just read this in the farm produces at the level of 65. It is making a loss, but our price is above the average variable cost. It continues to operate, but why don't you continue to operate if you're making a loss? Because what is your loss? You lost. If you don't produce at all, your loss is a fixed cost. Write yourself to pay your fixed cost. So shutting down, you have to pay your fixed cost. If I'm able to sell product at a price higher than the average variable cost, so if price is greater than variable cost, I have some chance of making money. Everything I produce, I'm selling at a slight profit, not enough to cover my fixed cost, but it's chipping away. But it's chipping away at it for each extra unit and I produce. Eventually, it could reach breaking point. Eventually, it could break into the positive profitable area. So I would lose less money in this scenario by actually producing whatever I produce will diminish my loss. It will chip away at the fixed cost, which would be the loss of I didn't produce at all. Now, in the next picture, if the price is below the average variable cost, everything I produce, I will lose less, even more. So my losses mount for each extra item I produce, no matter if what volume, so that it makes sense to just shut down because the minimal cost therefore would be just the fixed cost. My minimum profit would be the negative profit, which would be the total fixed cost. In the first case, every item I produce will produce a marginal profit because the price is higher than the minimum average variable cost and it will subtract from the fixed cost. So the farm produces at a level of 60. This price this price is below the average variable cost for this local level output. If the farmer cannot pay workers the variable cost, then it has to shut down. So it's just a matter of where this price is. Where you fit the price, there's three regions. There's this point here, minimum average variable cost. When the price is lower than that, you shut down. The best you can do is just to take the loss, which is your fixed cost. Then you have this region in between the minimum average variable cost and the minimum average total cost. This is a break-even point. In here, it makes sense to produce because your losses will be less than the fixed cost. Where you want to operate is in region 3, where if the price is above the minimum average variable cost, then I will be in a positive profit. So, here's another picture of it. Here's the three zones, the shutdown zone. Here's the minimum. Here's the minimum. Here's the average variable cost. So it's always going to be higher. The difference between these two curves is going to be average fixed cost. The two curves get closer and closer together. If you produce at zero, the difference is exactly the fixed cost, and you increase, your average fixed cost goes down because I'm dividing by a larger Q. So these two curves kind of converge, but never do so. But never do. So here's my break-even point. Here's my shutdown point. You have my price, which is a horizontal line always, which is also my marginal revenue, is below here. Shutdown if it's in between here. Unfortunately, you have to produce because you lost less money because your price is greater than average variable cost, but below the minimum average variable cost. But when your price is above the minimum average cost, you will be in a profit zone. No one wants to operate here where you're losing money all the time. You still got to do something right. So there's a loss, but continue operating a short run. So, like if you know you're going to lose money in a season, you still have to plant. You have to go through all that labor because you will lose less money. So, those are the three zones you want to pay attention to that.